Here's the paraphrased version of your script while keeping the same tone, style, and emotional emphasis. A receptionist humiliates Keanu Reeves, unaware he owns the hotel. Where are you tuning in from? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring stories. It was a chilly autumn evening in late October 2019 when Keanu Reeves stepped into the lobby of a luxurious boutique hotel in Los Angeles. Wearing his signature understated look, a black blazer and jeans, he appeared to be just another tired traveler. But little did anyone in that lobby know, this man wasn't just a guest. He was the secret owner of the entire establishment. The hotel had been a personal dream of Keanu's, a place designed to radiate warmth and hospitality. Yet, that night, what greeted him was far from welcoming. "Excuse me, sir," snapped the receptionist, a sharply dressed woman in her early 30s named Amanda. "Do you even have a reservation? We don't just let anyone walk in here." Keanu raised an eyebrow, his calm expression hiding his surprise. "Actually, I do," he replied quietly, reaching into his pocket for the confirmation email. Amanda rolled her eyes dramatically, muttering just loud enough for nearby guests to catch. "People like you think you can just waltz into places like this. This isn't a hostel." A few guests began to glance over, sensing the tension. Despite the sting of her words, Keanu remained composed, though a flicker of hurt crossed his face. He handed her his phone with the email pulled up, but Amanda barely glanced at it before launching into another tirade. "This isn't the kind of place you can just book on a whim," she said coldly. "We cater to elite clientele, celebrities, CEOs, people who can actually afford it. I suggest you try somewhere else." Across the lobby, a young couple by the fireplace couldn't help but overhear. Emily and David, high school sweethearts in their late 20s, were on a quiet anniversary getaway. Emily leaned toward David, whispering, "Isn't that Keanu Reeves? He looks just like him." David squinted. "It can't be. What would he be doing here?" Meanwhile, Amanda continued berating Keanu, oblivious to the growing unease among the guests. "Listen," she sighed condescendingly, "we have an image to maintain. If you can't afford this place, there's a motel down the street." Keanu finally broke his silence, his voice calm yet firm. "Is this how you treat all your guests?" Amanda smirked, her confidence unshaken. "Only the ones who don't belong." Just as she reached for the phone, presumably to call security, a voice cut through the tension. "Amanda," said James, the hotel manager, who had just entered the lobby. His face went pale as he recognized Keanu. "What are you doing?" James exclaimed. Amanda turned to him, confused. "I'm handling a situation," she said dismissively, gesturing toward Keanu. James hurried over, his face a mix of panic and disbelief. "That's not just a guest," he said, his voice trembling. "That's Mr. Reeves. He owns this hotel." A heavy silence fell over the room. Amanda's face drained of color as she processed his words. Keanu, however, stayed composed, letting the weight of the truth speak for itself. Emily and David exchanged stunned glances, their evening suddenly filled with a story they'd never forget. "I knew it," Emily whispered, eyes wide. Amanda stammered an apology, but Keanu surprised everyone. James, sensing the gravity of the moment, stepped back as Keanu's calm but commanding presence filled the room. "You see," Keanu said softly, looking Amanda in the eyes, "kindness is what this place is built on. Everyone deserves respect, no matter how they look or where they come from." Amanda's lips trembled, tears welling up. I'm so sorry," she choked out, her voice breaking. Keanu paused, looking around at the guests who had witnessed everything. His voice softened. "There was a time when I couldn't afford a place like this," he said, his tone filled with raw honesty. "I didn't even know where my next meal would come from. That's why I wanted this hotel to be a haven, a place where everyone feels welcome." Emily, now wiping away tears, whispered to David, "It's incredible how someone who's been through so much pain still chooses to be kind." As Keanu turned to leave, a young boy, and no older than 8, approached him hesitantly. "Mr. Reeves," the boy said, his voice shaking. Keanu knelt to meet him, eye to eye. "Hey there, buddy," he said gently. The boy held out a crumpled piece of paper. My dad used to watch your movies with me before he went to heaven. He said you're the nicest person in Hollywood. I think he was right. Tears filled Keanu's eyes as he unfolded the paper, a simple drawing of a superhero, with the words, "To Mr. Reeves, the real superhero," written in a child's handwriting. This time, the silence in the lobby wasn't from shock but from awe. But genuine smile lighting up his face. Amanda hesitated for a moment, then waved back, her heart swelling with a feeling she hadn't experienced in years, a quiet sense of redemption. As the boy and his mother exited the hotel, Amanda felt something shift inside her. She had spent so long chasing status, assuming it was what defined success, but in that brief interaction, she realized how wrong she had been. She resolved to carry forward the lesson Keanu had imparted, to treat everyone with dignity and kindness, no matter the circumstances. Meanwhile, upstairs in his suite, Keanu watched from his window as the boy and his mother climbed into a taxi. The boy held the envelope close to his chest, his face beaming with happiness. Keanu exhaled deeply, a small, peaceful smile touching his lips. The weight of his losses and regrets felt a little lighter, knowing he had made a difference in someone's life, however small. As the day unfolded, the hotel buzzed with life. Emily and David shared their story with other guests, spreading the message of kindness they had witnessed. George at the piano played another melody, his music drawing people together in an unspoken bond of connection. Keanu prepared to leave the hotel that evening, his purpose fulfilled for now. As he stepped into the lobby, Amanda approached him hesitantly. "Mr. Reeves," she began, her voice steady but tinged with emotion. "I want to thank you for everything. You've given me a chance to see things differently, and I promise to do better." Keanu looked at her for a moment, his gaze thoughtful. Then he offered a small, encouraging nod. "That's all anyone can do. Try to be better every day." With that, he turned and walked toward the doors, leaving behind a hotel that would never quite be the same. His presence, his words, and his actions had left an indelible mark on everyone who had crossed his path. As Keanu stepped into the cool night air, he glanced up at the stars. Life, he knew, was a collection of fleeting moments, some filled with joy, others with pain. But what truly mattered was what you did with those moments and the impact you left behind. And in that quiet reflection, he found a measure of peace. As Keanu walked out into the evening air, the lights of the city cast a warm glow against the darkening sky. He took a moment to breathe it all in, the buzz of car engines, the distant murmur of conversations, and the faint scent of jasmine from a nearby garden. Each sensation grounded him, reminding him that life, for all its complexities, was worth cherishing. Back inside, the hotel's energy had shifted. Guests lingered longer than usual, exchanging stories and kind smiles. Emily and David, still seated by the fireplace, quietly marveled at the unexpected turn their anniversary had taken. "I can't stop thinking about everything we just witnessed," Emily said softly, her fingers tracing the rim of her coffee cup. "It's not every day you meet someone like him." David nodded, his gaze fixed on the flickering flames. "It's rare, isn't it? Someone who could easily let bitterness consume them but instead chooses to spread kindness." Emily rested her head on David's shoulder. "I hope we can carry that lesson forward too." At the piano, George continued playing, the soft notes of a familiar tune drawing smiles from the guests around him. James, the manager, stood quietly by the front desk, observing it all with a sense of pride and purpose. For the first time in a long time, he felt he wasn't just running a hotel, but stewarding a place where people could feel something meaningful. Amanda, still grappling with the weight of her actions, found herself busy at the desk, greeting guests with a newfound warmth. She caught herself before falling back into her old habits, stopping to make genuine eye contact and listening attentively to each person she interacted with. Small steps, but steps in the right direction. Meanwhile, the boy and his mother, now back at their modest home, sat together at the kitchen table. The boy placed the envelope Keanu had given him on the table and carefully unfolded the note. "To the boy who reminded me that heroes come in all shapes and sizes," it read. Thank you for being mine tonight. Keanu. The boy beamed, clutching the note close to his heart. His mother, overcome with emotion, kissed the top of his head. You'll never forget this moment, she whispered. And I hope it inspires you to always be kind, just like him. Back at the hotel, Keanu returned briefly to the lobby to retrieve a forgotten item. As he walked through, he noticed the subtle changes already taking shape. The warmth in Amanda's demeanor, the joy radiating from George's music, and the quiet contentment on Emily and David's faces. It wasn't about him, he realized. It was about the ripple effect of one small act of compassion. Before leaving for good, he approached James one last time. You're doing great work here, Keanu said, placing a hand on his shoulder. Don't lose sight of what makes this place special. James nodded, his eyes misty. I won't, Mr. Reeves. Thank you for everything. As Keanu stepped out into the night, he carried with him the boy's drawing and the memory of a day that had started with tension and ended in transformation. His steps were steady, his heart a little lighter. And though the world would never truly see the quiet battles he fought, those who crossed his path would never forget the way he made them feel, seen, valued, and profoundly human. Because in a world often consumed by chaos, kindness was the rarest and most powerful gift of all.